Hey guys, Neptune here, and today we inspect Hollow builds to answer one simple question, whether it can be a valid alternative to a regular quality build. For those of you who want a simple answer, the answer is no, and as long as you don't need an extra bleed bonus, Hollow isn't really worth it. Now for those of you who want all the numbers, let's get into the action. First of all, let's discuss why people get attracted to the Hollow or luck builds. I assume that it is due to the two factors. First is the fact that you can get 10 free luck if you equip 2 hollow items. People seem to assume that this free boost is enough to make it viable, which is not really the case. My second guess is that it's a psychological factor. Since it scales with 3 stats instead of regular 2, people assume that it will net them the most AR in the long run, which is not true at all. Yet, I see so many people recommending the luck build in various shapes and forms. In most of those instances, there is really no need for extra bleed bonus, so the hollow build isn't the most optimal solution. Today I discuss several versions of hollow build and compare it to quality build in terms of attack rating. All of those builds are tailored to SL120 and account for 40 vigor and 40 endurance as a base. As most of you know, the best starting class for Hollow build is a warrior, as it has highest lag stat by default. Warrior is also the best class for quality builds, if you don't need the attunement slot, that is. However, I am stuck with a shitty knight character, so most of the stats in the test are just a simulation of warrior stat distribution. With all that being said, let's get to the numbers. As you can see in the simple comparison, just dumping all the leftover stat into luck and getting 2 hollow items for 25 luck total is not enough to make hollow viable. Notably enough, S-Stock doesn't lose that much since you hold it in one hand, but it's still a lot worse than quality. Now this build is far from optimal, but it's a good demonstration that even at 25 luck, Hollow provides less AR than Refined. Now the best solution for Hollow build is using 25 strength that makes it 40 when you two-hand a weapon, 40 dex and rest spent into luck. Let's see how successful it can be. When you compare those two builds, you can see that despite Hollow build losing in most of those cases, it can actually match the AR with some of the weapons, like Cardless Curd Sword, which is a good thing. If you need an extra bleed bonus, this build is the one you probably want to go with. Now I feel like explaining why it loses so much when it comes to heavy weapons with high base damage. The reason to that is that when you two-hand a weapon with 40 strength, it gives you 20 strength extra bonus, which nets you 60 strength total, which is a second breakpoint, and since Refine scales a lot more with strength and dexterity, as it has a better hidden modifier, you get a lot more AR. Now, there are some weapons like Washing Pole that benefit from Hollow and get more AR on 27 strength, 40 dex and 28 luck build, but it is a very rare case. In most cases, Hollow can barely match the AR of pure quality, let alone beating it. Now, if you go for 27 strength, you will not be able to wield some of the weapons that you normally can on pure quality. Not only that, going for a Hollow build takes away your offhand slot, meaning that it always has to be Hollow item, otherwise you lose even more AR. Going for a Hollow is far from optimal. Now as a bonus, I feel like providing max stat comparison between quality build and Hollow build. Enjoy. It becomes very clear if you look at this comparison, that even at max stat, Hollow has no chances against pure quality. In fact, it loses to regular 40/40 quality when you compare weapons like a Stora Greatsword. Sadly, bleed gimmick aside, it seems to be just another useless infusion. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.